Hi everyone, it's Tammy with Shabby Fabrics. If you love pincushions as much as we do here at Shabby Fabrics, I have a really fun little project for you today. We have a lot of different pincushions here, and just for an example, the pumpkin pie spice pincushion, so cute. We've got a lot of them. They're all on our website. If you put in search for pincushions, it's going to bring all of our kits and everything that you need up. We've got our walnut shells. I've got some doll needles on set because I'm going to use those. I'm going to be making this adorable little yo-yo pincushion. We're going to use the Clover Quick Yo-Yo Maker. This is the jumbo size. It is large. You can see that. I have a doll needle. I've got some embroidery needles. I do have some size 8 pearl cotton. Just something, a heavier thread I wanted to show up on my pumpkin. And my favorite Karen K. Buckley scissors, a button, and a needle threader. That's about all you need, all right? So there is a free download. It looks like this. It's got the pattern for the leaves on it and some simple instructions. This is by Moda. Thank you, Moda, for letting us do this. This was developed by Dawn Cornell. This free download is available in the links below. It's also available on our website under the free downloads. All right, so you'll be able to find that. So let's get started. How do I use a yo-yo maker? Well, there's some tricks to it. Ask me how I know that. I've done this. You take your fabric and you're going to set it in here and put your disc in, right? Sounds simple enough, right? Except my disc does not engage. What am I doing wrong? Let's look at just the yo-yo maker, all right? And you're going to see these nubs here, these rounded nubs that are sticking out. There is a line on each one of them. It corresponds to the nubs that are sticking out here. So if I try to engage this like this, I cannot snap it down because these nubs are not lined up with these nubs. See? Now you know the secret, just like that, and it snaps in place. All right? To unsnap it, I'm just going to take it right apart like that. Okay, so now when we put our fabric in, now that we know that, we're aware, right? And I'm going to set this ring in here. And now I'm going to peek under my fabric and I see this little nub. I'm going to find a nub on here and I'm going to line them up. And now it snaps right into place. All right? Just like that. So I have the wrong side of my fabric is facing me. And I chose this really cute plaid from Benartex. Love this collection. This is a Woolly Autumn by Benartex. So we're going to cut around this now. I need about 5/8 of an inch. So that's like a generous quarter, right? No, it's just over 1/2 inch actually. So I'm just going to use my Karen K. Buckley scissors. I have the larger ones. I love the way they cut. Very nice, even. We're just going to trim our fabric here all the way around. All right. You know what? That looks like a good seam allowance to me. It does not have to be perfect. All right. Next, I'm going to take a Richard Hemming embroidery needle, and I'm going to use my Clover needle threader because it just makes it so simple. I insert the needle threader through there. Okay, we're going to take our thread and put it down inside the wire, and I'm just going to pull it straight back through, just like that. How quick is that? There we go. All right, I have a pretty good long length of thread here, all right? Because I have to sew all the way around this, and I don't want to run out of thread halfway through. I do have a knot in the end. All right, so I'm going to fold my fabric over. Let's look at the back. There are these little half circle openings here, and that's where my stitches are going to go, right in there. So I'm going to start on the right side of one of these little notches here, I'm going to go from the top down, just like this. You can see I'm coming up on the right side. From the top, I just folded my fabric right straight over. I'm going to sew right up. Okay, now I'm going to sew back the other way. You see how my thread is jumping right there? It's important that your thread, the jump in your stitch, is in the opening. Otherwise, you're going to sew this base plate to your yo-yo. That's not going to come apart very easily, all right? So the reason these notches are there is that's where your stitches go, all right? So you're going to come down here and back up. So I find it easier to stitch, and I'm constantly watching the bottom just to make sure that I'm doing this exactly right. My stitches are always landing in a groove. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch all the way around this now. Okay, so now when I take the last stitch through here, now I want to reinforce that, and I'm going to come down again. See where my knot is? I'm going to come up again here. There we go. All right, so we're going to take like a back stitch, right? All right, now let's see if we did it right. This should now release. Perfect, this came off. That's always a good thing. And now I'm just going to slide the yo-yo maker. Look at that. And the disc slides right out. Yay. There we go. All right, so now I have a giant circle. I've sewn all the way around it. Now I'm just going to start gathering this. All right, here we go. This is why you're going to want to use a heavy thread. You're not going to want to use just a 50 weight cotton sewing thread. It's just not going to be heavy enough to hang on to this. All right, so let's start gathering this. And I'm just going to kind of tuck my little seam allowance in there as we go. So it doesn't matter how big your seam allowance is. Look at that. Okay. We have a jumbo yo-yo. How fun. That is definitely the quick and easy way to make that. All right. So now let's fill our little pincushion. Okay, so I'm going to open this back up a little. I got a little excited there and closed it a little much. There we go. All right. So I always use a plate or a bowl, something, whenever I'm using walnut shells. So I have the ground nut shells. These are beautiful for pincushions. I love these walnut shells. They're amazing. There we go. All right. I have a cute little funnel. We're going to stick this in here. Make sure we're in there. There we go. Let's fill our little pumpkin. I'm always nervous about walnut shells, especially around a sewing machine. If I had a sewing machine or spilling them everywhere, it's kind of like spilling sugar or salt in your kitchen, right, on the floor. Such a hassle to clean it up. So I'm pretty careful with walnut shells, especially in my sewing room. Kind of like fine sand. All right, so I have some walnut shells in the bottom. I just need to put enough in there that it's just going to be like a base. I want to give it a little bit of weight. That should be good. There we go. All right, so I did not fill the whole thing. You can see that there's still a good gap in there, right? All right, so now to fill the rest of it, I'm just going to take a little bit of polyfill. I need to close this bag though. Okay, so now let's take a little polyfill, and we're just going to start stuffing this in here to give our pumpkin his shape. All right. little bits. This would be such a fun project to make with grandkids, with children. They can easily sew a yo-yo with a yo-yo maker. This is easily doable for young kids to do this. How fun. There we go. So I just want to fill my pumpkin just so he's nice and plump. Here we go. I'm just kind of wiggling my finger around in there. Just making sure I'm working my polyfill in there. Give him another little bit here. Let's really puff this one up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so he can be as puffy or as flat as you want him. You could make a whole pumpkin patch full of pumpkins. Wouldn't that be cool? All right, so now I'm just gonna tighten this up a little bit here around my pumpkin filling so it stays in there. Now my walnut shells stay in there. You see that? The polyfill holds those walnut shells in place, so now they're not gonna fall out of there. Now I'm gonna take my thread. Wow, I have a long length of thread here. I need to tie a knot and stitch with this pumpkin, but my thread is super long. So what I'm gonna do is pull this through my needle. It wants to twist on me. There we go. I'm gonna pull this through and trim my thread off. I don't want that much thread here. Okay, there we go. So now I'm just gonna take a back stitch and I'm just gonna hang on to the edges of my pumpkin just so it's not gonna come apart. I don't want it to come completely unraveled here. And just take a little stitch like this, tie a knot, go a couple times through there, knot that. Perfect. All right, let's cut that. So cool. All right, now I'm gonna take a dull needle. Big needle, right? Now I'm gonna go all the way through the pumpkin, all right? So I have a knot in the end of this, and I'm just gonna go down in the middle to the bottom of it, like this. Cool. I'm gonna go back into the center, and I'm gonna try to come out about exactly where I was, right? Like this. Make a giant loop, and then pull it tight. You see how that just kind of creases the pumpkin like that? So it looks like a real pumpkin. Let's go back in the middle, back out. There we go. Now I'm just gonna kind of play with my threads. That is so cool. I love the way you just shape a little pumpkin here. So cute. You can do this as many times or as few times as you like. You can just keep going around and around and around this thing, however many times you want to do that. Very cool. All right, now let's finish the top. All right, so I'm going to put some leaves on. I'm going to set this aside for right now. So on our pattern, I have a bottom leaf and a top leaf, and I've taken some shape flex, and this is fusible. So you can see the fusible side is kind of bumpy on one side. This side is smooth, and I just place this on here, and I'm going to use a micron pen to trace this. So I have traced both of these on my shape flex, and then I've fused that to my green fabric, whatever green fabric you've got. I chose this one. It's got a fun little pattern on it. So I have a top leaf and a bottom leaf. And then we're just going to cut this out. Okay, so here we go. I have my leaves. So it's my bottom leaf and my top leaf. You could make these out of different fabrics if you wanted to and do two different greens. Doesn't matter. Just use your scraps, whatever you've got. All right. We all have a few scraps laying around, don't we? So I'm going to take my doll needle and I'm going to go straight up into the middle of this pumpkin. Straight up from the bottom. okay? And I'm going to grab a hold of my leaves. I'm going to go straight through my leaves, and I'm going to put a button on there, just like that. How cute. I'm going to pull it tight and stick my doll needle back in. Go to the bottom. Let's see if I can get there. There we go, to the bottom. Pull it tight. Just like that. Oh, these are so cute. Pull it as tight as you want. I'm just going to kind of work my little leaves so they just kind of stick up a little bit. I want to give them a little, there we go. That shape flex will just kind of let it move around a little bit. That looks cute. I like it. You know what? I think my doll needle is too long, so I'm going to rethread this thread on my Richard Hemming embroidery needle, like this. And put my thread back down in the middle of this. Slide it right back through. Oh, that's much better. Okay, let's pull that tight. Okay, I'm going to stick this needle back up through here. Grab a hold of this. There we go. Tighten it down. Tighten your button down. Pull it tight because you want that pumpkin to have some shape to it, right? You can fuss with the edges. There we go. I'm going to go back down. Straight back down. I've got my buttons sewn on. And I'm just going to tie a knot in the back here. Just like this. Beautiful. There it is. There's my little pumpkin pincushion. You make as many of them or a few of them as you like, but you could have a whole pumpkin patch. I thought this was great fun. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you again on another Shabby Fabrics video really soon.